Guys, this character has just completely blown my mind. This is Sunday, and his values, his buffs, the things he brings to the team are absolutely crazy. So in this video, I'm gonna go over everything Sunday does, what he brings to the table, and why this is incredibly important going forward, especially into 3.0. Sunday looks like he's going to be an absolutely pivotal unit, and while that could change, at least right now, based on how we know Hoyoverse does things, Sunday is incredible, and I need to show you guys and tell you guys exactly why. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another pre-release video. This is recorded on the Creator Experience server, meaning that it is an early version of the character and is subject to change. It is possible that the values on Sunday could actually be adjusted before launch, so keep that in mind, but these are my first impressions of him based on this early access version. It's been a minute since we've done one of these because we only had one limited 5-star character over the last patch, so it's actually given us a little bit of time to rest up and restore our reserves of stellar jades, and you're gonna need them. So no more stalling. I'm gonna go over everything you need to know about Sunday in this pre-release. So I'm not gonna go into the lore of Sunday because I don't want to spoil anything for people who haven't played through the story, but he's got some new drip, and you'll notice that if you have at least seen him in the story once. My opinion on the new drip is I like it. I think it's decent. I think he actually had too many muted colors on his last outfit, so I think this is pretty good in general. I think it looks nice, and he honestly kind of took some colors out of Bronya's book here, I think. With the sort of blue, black, white, and gray, he's sort of repping that with the gray hair as well. Which is ironic because he and Bronya are basically two characters that can replace each other depending on the team. Congratulations, Sunday, you're now in the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna go in and show you what he does, but before we go in, here's the relic set that I'm using. I'm using Sacerdos, the 4-piece, which is gonna give me speed buff, and it's going to make it so whenever I use my skill or ultimate on an ally, specifically one ally target, it increases their crit damage by 18%, and it lasts for 2 turns. It can stack up to 2 times, meaning if I use it 2 times in a row, they actually are getting 36 crit damage, which is a huge buff. And I'm also using Lushaka. Now, you can use a ton of different planar sets, and honestly even the relic sets are interchangeable, but Lushaka is going to give me 5% energy regen, which is going to be helpful for getting my ultimate, and it's also going to give 12% attack to the first character in the lineup, so I'm going to make the first character my DPS. For those of you who don't know, Sunday is a buffer. He's a harmony character, which means he gives your team buffs, and he has an action forward that I'll go over in the showcase. So Messenger and Sacerdos are both going to be decent options for him, specifically if you need to speed tune him, which most of the time you're going to want to do. And for planar sets, you can run a ton of different ones. Any of the support sets are going to be fine. You can run Von Walk, you can run Broken Keel, Lushaka, you can run Fleet of the Ageless, you can run Penacony. All of them are going to be fine options. For main stats on this, I'm just running crit damage body, I'm running speed boots, and then I'm running HP sphere and energy regen rope. You want the energy regen on the rope because you want to use his ultimate pretty often, especially if you have his light cone. HP is for sustain, and then you just kind of want the highest crit damage pieces you can get, and crit damage body is basically a given for that. So speed, it's whether or not you're speed tuning him to your character or not, but you're probably always going to want speed boots. There might be instances where you don't, but like 99% of the time you do. And then for the light cone for the showcase, I'm not showcasing his signature light cone, but I will tell you what that does in a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and use But the Battle Isn't Over because that's gonna be more relatable, since that light cone is a little more attainable for most players. So here we are with our general. This guy is a character that gets buffed every single patch, it feels like. He keeps getting new relic sets that work for him, new synergies with other characters, and it feels like this world is conveniently built for him, much like Priscilla from ReZero. Well, Sunday happens to be his best partner in the entire game, and it's not even close. This guy is basically Bronya for summons, and since Xingyan has Leonard the Lightning Lord, Lenny, good old Lenny over there, Sunday is going to make him absolutely jacked. Now, is he like a top tier DPS now? Probably not right this second, but if they keep buffing summons and releasing kits for characters with summons, maybe he will one day reign supreme. I don't know. But anyways, let's just get into this fight. We are on floor 12, and we're gonna hop right in there, and I'll explain exactly what Sunday does. All right, so here we are in combat. I'm gonna start off with Robin's skill just to get her abilities going. And now Ho-Oh I should skill with to make sure that we can get cleanses, but just for skill point usage, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna go ahead and basic attack here. All right, and now we're on Jingyuan. Now I mentioned that Sunday down here in the bottom left is actually an action forward character. That means that if we speed tune him to Jingyuan, which we have, we've got 135 plus Jingyuan here and 134 Sunday, we can actually just go boom, Sunday, action forward Jingyuan again. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go and skill with Jingyuan, which is gonna give us 8 stacks of Leonard, and I'll actually move over here. That way you guys can see the stacks on Jingyuan. We are at 8 stacks now. Now I can action forward Jingyuan immediately. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and it's gonna bring him up, but it's also gonna bring Lenny up. I don't know if you can notice that, but the summon in the top left is also moving forward. Now this is what separates Sunday from Bronya, aside from just the values of the character. Bronya, when you action forward a character, it gives them a buff for a turn, and it doesn't touch their summon. Well, Sunday actually brings forward your summon as well. You immediately take action, 100% action forward, increase their damage dealt by 30% at talent level 10, or skill level 10 technically. And then if that character has a summon, you also get an additional 50% at level 10, which means you're getting 80% damage bonus. And not only does it last for 1 turn, it lasts for 2 turns. So your summon's not losing any of that value after your character attacks. And on top of that, just like Bronya, he does have a Dispel on his skill as well. So if Jingyun decides to take a little nappy, it doesn't matter because he will just wake him up. And that's basically it, guys. That's his entire kit, is what I would say to you if I was a liar. But if you go over to talent, you can see when using skill increases the target's crit rate by 20% at talent level 10 for 3 turns. This means not only am I getting 80% damage bonus on Jingyun, I'm also getting 20% crit rate for 3 turns, which is just absolutely disgusting. That is 40 crit value. And then on top of that, you also get 25 energy at the start of battle with one of his major traces. That's normal. Just a buff for the support in their traces. It's normal stuff. So anyways, now that we know the action forward has worked. So anyways, now that the action forward has worked, it is Jingyun's turn, and if I skill, I'm gonna put Leonard at 10 stacks, which is gonna max him out. But I'm actually not going to skill yet. And the reason is because Sunday's ultimate is ready. And Sunday's ultimate is another buff. So I'm gonna go ahead and ult Jingyun real quick, and just to show you sort of what this does. Beautiful animation, by the way. Absolutely gorgeous animation. It do be a little long though. Now you'll notice that Jingyun gained some energy. Why is that? Well, that's because of his ultimate's ability. Surprise, you use an ultimate on a character, it makes it better. Wow, that's crazy. Sunday's ultimate actually regenerates 20% energy for 1 designated ally character, which is the target, which is Jingyun. But it gets better. Sunday actually has a trace that you can unlock that makes it so at the minimum, you are always getting at least 40 energy for the character, which a lot of the time is more than 20% of their max energy. A character would have to be at 200 max energy for this to count as 20%. So for characters that have higher than 200 max energy, it'll regenerate more than 40. But for majority of characters, or like basically every character in the game, it's gonna be 40 energy flat after this trace. So that's disgusting. But that's not even the best part. He actually gives crit damage similar to Bronya, except the amount of crit damage that he gives is insane. For reference, Bronya gives 16% of crit damage plus 20% flat for her ability, whereas Sunday gives 30% of his crit damage plus 12%. So minus 8% flat, but almost double the personal crit damage share, which is absolutely disgusting. So by building this guy with crit damage, he is sharing a ton of it with your character that you buff. And on top of that, it gives them the effect, the Beatified, which lasts for a total of 3 turns. That makes it so that whenever you use your skill on them, you actually get a skill point back. So what really separates this guy from Bronya, because it's not the color scheme and it's not the ultimate giving crit damage, it's the fact that he is Bronya, but a little bit SP positive, at least with his light cone. And without his light cone, he's at worst SP neutral, which is absolutely insane. And also the summon part, that's also important too. So anyways, I've yapped about his kit enough. I'm gonna go ahead and save Jingyun's ultimate because I do not want to overcap on Leonard's stacks. So I'm gonna go ahead and skill, and then Lightning Lord Lenny is going to attack. And on 2 targets, we managed to hit 234k, which honestly isn't that insane, guys. I'm not gonna lie, it's not that crazy, but it's a hell of a lot better than it used to be. And then we can activate Leonard. I actually had to split the run because they stun locked the shit out of Sunday, and that kind of ruined the entire speed tuning, which is a problem that everyone has if you don't have cleanses active. It can just happen. It is what it is. Ho-Ho's gonna get, oh, effect res. Okay, we're good. So anyways, now the ball is rolling, right? I'm gonna go and use Ho-Ho's ability to give us some ult energy regen, and then I'm gonna also give us some attack buffs through Ho-Ho, which is cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and use her skill finally. I'm actually gonna basic attack with Robin, and we're gonna use Jingyun and Sunday here. And Jingyun is right in front of Sunday, and he is beatified now, which means that when I skill with Sunday, we're gonna get a skill point back. And you can actually see this down here. I'm gonna go ahead and skill Jingyun forward, and I get a skill point back, which means that if you have 2 skill points, you can skill, which is so nice. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use my skill. Leonard's going to attack, and then I'm gonna Robin. Let's do it. So Leonard's going after these guys blow up. And on 2 targets, we managed to hit 278,000 damage, which is pretty dang good for Jingyun, man. I'm not gonna lie. Now that we have Robin buffs, we're gonna go ahead and ultimate. And now we have 2 skill points, and because of the beatified, we're gonna get our skill point back. Gonna go ahead and do this. And at the start of every one of Sunday's turns, the beatified effect is going to go down. It is tied to Sunday, which means that Jingyuan can take like 50,000 turns and he's just gonna retain it until Sunday's used it 3 times. So what you can do is you can save this if you want to, but the energy that he gives, I think, is worth just using it, especially if you're down to 1 stack. It can be pretty helpful. So I'm gonna go ahead and just use this to get the energy to Jingyuan as fast as possible. And then we're gonna go ahead and use our skill, and Leonard is going to hopefully finish them off with 10 stacks, but we will see. Yes, sir, 394,000 damage. That is much, much better for Jingyuan. Oh my gosh. So we managed to get to Svarog in 0 cycles. I do have to use basic attack on Huehe, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and use ult on, and use Leonard to get 3 more stacks. And then I'm gonna go ahead and basic attack, use Huehe ult, give us a big attack buff. Now the downside is I have 1 skill point, and that means I wouldn't be able to skill on Sunday next turn. So I'm gonna basic attack. I'm going to Sunday, Jingyuan forward, and then I can skill on Jingyuan with the buffs and with the skill point back, which is super nice. Now, one thing you should know is if you have Sunday's light cone, skill points are not going to be a problem. In fact, his light cone, which I will go over right after the showcase, is so incredibly strong that it basically takes away all of the issues that Sunday has. It just makes them not issues anymore, which is absolutely disgusting. And it might be one of the strongest light cones for a character in the game, which is unfortunate for low spenders and free-to-play players. But do know if you do get that, it is pretty damn good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basic attack with Robin here, get her ultimate. When he summons hand, I'm gonna use her ultimate so that way I don't get stunned. I don't want to get yoinked, man. All right, here we go. Not gonna get yoinked. This is not the 0 cycle strat. The 0 cycle strat is just get lucky. But you know, I'm just trying to survive, man, for the showcase. All right, I need to heal on Huehe to stay safe. So -1 skill point. Again, if I had Sunday's light cone on, the skill points would not be an issue. And just so we don't waste any energy, I'm gonna go ahead and use his ultimate on Jingyuan right away, which is going to fill up our ult gauge. Then we can do this, get 3 stacks, and then we can basic attack and get 20 energy, action forward, and then skill, which gives us 30 more energy. So boom, right away, pull Jingyuan forward. Then we get our skill point back because we're beatified, 102k on the skill, 260k on the Leonard. So I'm gonna Huehe, which is going to give us an extra 20% energy in every single bank. Basic attack on Huehe, now we have 3 skill points. We are chilling for skill points now. We're gonna skill on Jingyuan, which is going to give us our ultimate, but I'm gonna go ahead and skill him forward first. Boom, do this, ult them. Now we're gonna get all of the bonus energy from this one because our energy bank is like not full at all. We can skill again, which is going to give us 10 stacks for Leonard. Leonard's gonna slam down, do a ton of damage, 326k. We skill on Robin, we use Robin's ultimate, we action forward. We're definitely not killing Svarog in this cycle, but that's okay. We are beatified still, so we can skill, give us a skill point back, skill again, get our ultimate, instantly get 10 stack Leonard, which is gonna be just so nice for damage. On a single target, we're hitting 257k, that's pretty good. Like, I feel like that's decent. Now, the downside is we get yoinked here, the run's dead. All right, yep, Jingyuan got yoinked. Unlucky, go next. All right, to get out of the situation, to not be cooked, we're gonna go and destroy that. Boom, do this. Get Jingyuan some energy, man. Let's get this guy some energy, and then we can go ahead and instantly ult Jingyuan, give him some more energy, which is going to allow us to use the beatified to get an extra skill point. Actually, the energy didn't allow us to do that. I realized what I said afterwards. The energy didn't allow us to do that. The ultimate did, but you get what I'm saying. Now you can skill on Jingyuan, use his ultimate, and we have 8 stacks, and Svarog should basically just be dead here. Is what would happen if we had hit Svarog more, but you know what? It is what it is, guys. So that was 3 cycles with Jingyuan in 2024 in this version of 2.7, and you can actually clear much faster. You can definitely 0 cycle with Jingyuan if you're willing to sit there and just, you know, hit your head against the wall 40 times. And if you have Eidolons on Jingyuan, and if you have signature light cones, you can do it. It's easily doable, but the setup that I was using was free to play. The characters may not have all been free to play, but the light cones are free to play accessible. I was using But the Battle Isn't Over on 2 of these characters, and I was using Quid Pro Quo, which is a craftable light cone. Jingyuan did have his signature though, so I guess, you know, it's more like low spender core. I don't want to lie to you guys. It's probably low spender. So anyways, I was yapping about his light cone for a minute. So let me just show you guys what that actually does, because I feel like you should probably know. His light cone basically takes any problems that you would have playing him with Jingyuan specifically, and probably with other characters in the future, and just makes them go away. This guy is Bronya Pro Max, and his light cone is Bronya's light cone Pro Max, but the battle isn't over Pro Max. All right, after the wearer uses skill or ultimate on one ally character, the wearer regenerates 6 energy. This is at S1. So you actually get 6 energy whenever you skill, which makes your skill 36 energy instead of just 30. And the ability target receives 1 stack of him for 3 turns, stacking up to 3 times. Now, each him is gonna give you 15% damage bonus, which is gonna go up to 45% after you've gotten to max stacks. So a total of 45% damage bonus on top of the 80 he's already giving. So he can give up to 125% damage bonus. And he gives himself more energy. And after every 2 instances of skill or ultimate, you recover 1 skill point. So regardless of whether or not the ally is the beatified, every skill or ultimate you use counts for 1 of 2, and it gives you a skill point after. So that instance where we were at the beginning of the fight and Jingyuan didn't have the beatified until it was his turn, till after Sunday's skill, well, using the ultimate would have given him 1 of the 2, and the skill would have given the other one. So you actually would have gotten 1 skill point back on turn 1, which is insanely good. This light cone for Sunday is absolutely ridiculous. Like, genuinely, this thing is so busted for him. I'm not gonna sit here and say you guys need it, because you absolutely don't. Like, he's still gonna buff the ever-living heck out of Jingyuan even without his light cone, but if you do have it, it is disgusting. So you're probably thinking to yourself, wow, Brax, this is such a broken character. I definitely want to pull this guy. Who does he work with though? Let me introduce you to the team that benefits the most from Sunday. Hello, would you look at that? Jingyuan, a sustainer, Sunday, and Robin. These two actually work together in tandem, which is really, honestly, so poetic out of the story. I love that. I just have Adventuring here as kind of a shoe-in, but it could be any sustain. Huohuo ends up being like really good just because you get even more energy. So you're getting the 40 from Sunday. You're also getting 20% from Huohuo, like basically every few turns, which is really nice. And you get the attack buffs, which could be beneficial for both Robin and for Jingyuan. So Huohuo ends up being really good for this, but if you need a shield, Adventuring is the way to go. And any other sustain works. This just ends up being the best one. But this isn't the only place you can play him, because I told you he's Bronya Pro Max. Anywhere you can play Bronya, you can play Sunday, because he has the exact same action forward. And once you give the beatified, he's basically just better Bronya. Bronya does give different buffs, which means that in some teams, Sparkle and Bronya can actually outperform Sunday. But what makes Sunday valuable is in the teams where you might be in the SP negative area because you have Bronya and you don't have her Eidolons, or you don't have her signature light cone, Sunday can give you some of that SP back, which is where he's going to be a lot comfier for a majority of players than Bronya. That is not saying that Bronya is dog shit now. I just mean that this character is going to be comfier, cozier, easier to play, and get value out of. So when I say Bronya Pro Max, he also works with Boot Hill, the same way that Bronya works with Boot Hill, and ends up being incredibly strong. Getting more energy and action forward is going to make it so that Boot Hill can actually apply physical weakness more often, and he is just a powerhouse. You guys know how strong Boot Hill is. You don't need me to tell you about that. And basically anywhere that Bronya would be, you can just replace with Sunday, and it's totally fine. Like, you could just replace Bronya and Jingliu's team with Sunday. Is that going to be strictly better? It's up for debate, right? Because Bronya has different buffs, so it depends on your build, it depends on the content and your stats and all that. But as mentioned before, where Sunday is going to excel is going to be in the summon meta that we know is coming, because they've teased Remembrance Path, which is a path that focuses on summons. And if you guys know anything about how Memory of Chaos, Apoc Shadow, and Pure Fiction work, they focus on trying to sell the newest character that has a specific playstyle. Right when Firefly came out, the MOC was focused on Fire Weak enemies, and even if they weren't Fire Weak, it wouldn't really matter. It gave break buffs. The same thing for Rappa. The enemies were imaginary weak on one of the sides, and the buffs were helpful for Rappa specifically. Now, you can anticipate that if summon characters are coming out, the buffs are going to work for summon characters in summon characters' favor, and Sunday's a character that buffs summon characters. So if you're looking for a new playstyle, Sunday is going to be an excellent pickup. He will likely get rerun though in 3.x. If you're willing to wait and you're willing to see how it goes, you can probably pick him up later. It's not going to be the end of the world. Overall, I do think he's a crazy good pickup though. Now lastly, I'll just show you his Eidolons. I'll go more into these in my guide video, but just so you know how strong these are and kind of what they do, basically E1 makes it so whenever he uses a skill, the character that you buff can ignore enemy defense, and their summon can ignore even more of enemy defense, lasting for 2 turns, which is pretty disgusting. That just goes hand in hand with the crit buffs. E2 makes it so that after you use his ultimate for the first time, you actually get 2 skill points. This is only going to work once in the entire fight, but the 2 skill points can set you ahead a fair bit. So if you don't end up getting his light cone, but you do get Eidolons for him, this will be pretty helpful. And if you get this, you're probably not gonna have skill point issues for like most of the fight. It also makes it so that the Beatified gets an extra 30% damage bonus, which again, if you have his light cone, can end up making it a grand total of 155% damage bonus, which is absolutely disgusting. And honestly, you probably just want to build an attack orb at that point. E3 is an ultimate and basic attack level up. E4 is going to make it so when the turn starts, you regenerate 8 energy, which again, if you're playing as light cone, gives you way more value. Skill and talent level up on E5. And E6 is going to make it so that the crit rate boost from his talent is stackable 3 times up to a maximum of 60% crit rate. But on top of that, if you exceed 100 crit rate, you're getting 2 crit damage for every 1 crit rate over that you go. This is like that hunt blessing, I think, from SU a long time ago that basically just converts excess crit rate into crit damage, but it's built into this kit at E6. I don't know how many people are gonna E6 this character. There's so many characters on the horizon that everyone wants to pull, but you know what? If you're gonna do it, more power to you. Maybe I will to buff Jingliu because that seems insane. I'm just kidding, guys, I'm broke.